This book is really interesting because it proposes the idea that or we are hawks or doves. Hawks obviously are very aggressive attacking players. Doves are those that are cautious and prefer kind of a quiet play. In any case, the book is based on a ton of chapters. Yeah, about 23 chapters. Can you imagine? 23 chapters. And a total of something like, let's see how many games. Yes, this is the last one. So let's see. Okay, here you can see this is the last one of the games. In any case, we really have about 100 games or more. Why is it important? Because there are many games that are played by the author, Lakdawala, which is a great writer. This book is not new, but what I like of all books is that they can be found at a reasonable price for someone who likes just to enjoy chess and eventually play them over the board, because this is the real enjoyment, to play chess over a board. The games that I want to present you comes from chapter 7, the God of War. Who is the God of War? Well, I think we all know it's Tal, one of the most attacking players ever. And the funny thing of these chapters is that there are only two games practically, and the second games it comes from Mikhail Tal against Mikhail Botvinnik in 1960 in the Moscow World Championship match from 1960. Okay, so I want to show you this game because you will see that Tal continues to sacrifice, and many of these sacrifices are not correct. But Botvinnik doesn't find the right move to refute them. And this is the thing. Today, with the engine, we all think that you are able to find the right move, but it's not true. And this is the proof. Botvinnik has been multiple times world champion, clearly a career owner of chess, and he cannot refute Tal. On the other hand, Botvinnik also said, when Tal sacrifices something, take it, and then you will prove that he's wrong. Well, here you can see that he's not able to prove it. But let me show you. So Tal is white, e4, c6, something very solid, right? d4, d5, knight c3, t takes e4, knight takes e4, bishop f5, knight g3, knight, bishop g6, bishop c4, e6, because this is generally a kind of big attack, knight e1, e2, knight f6, knight f4, bishop d6, and knight takes g6. So this knight takes g6 is a kind of interesting move, but it seems that c3 is the only move for white to get an edge. Okay, so this exchange seems dubious, not totally correct. But why? Because let's start to think in term 1, 2, 3. So you have moved this knight 3 times to take away that bishop. No? Does he lose a tempo because he says he went to what, to f5 and g6? Yeah, so you have lost a tempo. Okay. But what does that capture do? That you cannot take like this, right? So you take like this. But if you take like this, you have given black an open fire. which is what you want for a rook, right? You generally waste tempi to make the rook go on an open file. Here, black got it right away. So, there are a lot of things that you need to think about when you play chess, a lot of factors, because the pieces become stronger or weaker depending on what you do. So, maybe now white has a better bishop than black, and that could be the reason, right? Who knows? Bishop g5, knight b d7, and castle. And here the author of the book writes, Tal isn't afraid to castle into black's open h file. I would be inclined to play c3, intending to castle queenside. And so here we can see the difference between a hawk and a dove. The dove wants to play, want to castle queenside. The hawk doesn't care, he's not scared of castling on an open file. So that's kind of interesting. It's also possible that maybe Tal was better prepared, theoretically. In that time, we are speaking 1960, okay, 1960. So 1960, none of these two players had an engine to work for them. Queen f5. Notice that is an interesting move, attacks here, but also could try to bring the queen on the h file. f4. Here there is a very long comment by the author about Tal mistakes and so on that you can read, but I just want to see the book, what it says. However, maybe Tal didn't really gain much from the opening at this point, and generally, obviously, you try as white to gain an advantage that you will be able to convert, especially at this big level, World Championship level, right? Castle. And here the author writes, Tal was probably happy to provoke this aggressive reaction. I'm curious why Botvinnik didn't go with a calm reaction of castling on the king side with a safe tiny edge for black. Who knows why? a3. Tal obviously prepares a pawn storm on this side to attack. Queen c7, b4. Now the author says that Tal is underestimating the swiftness of black's counterattack. Okay? I obviously don't know, but it's interesting. Black at this point played knight b6, which is dubious. It seems that black should have played rook d f8, which prepares knight d5 or knight h7. Now, this is an interesting thing, because you see, knight df8 unpin this. But how do you arrive to think at this move? That's kind of interesting. And why knight here? I mean, is going to fight the attack of white. So as you can see, by the way, after rook df8, however, the author wrote some lines that black should have played, okay? So it's not that it's only rook df8, it's justified. But this is interesting, however, because as you can see, in that time, 1960, this is a World Championship match, they had a really long time to think for each move. And here we see the master of strategy, Botvinnik, that doesn't get it right. Tal continues with bishop e2. It seems also bishop b3 is okay. Bishop e7, and this is another dubious move. It seems that black should have seized the initiative with this move, e5. and after f takes e5, bishop takes e5, c3, bishop takes g3, bishop g4, knight bd7, h takes g3, and queen takes g3, which leaves white down a pawn for an insufficient compensation. So let's try to see it over the board once more. He plays e5 instead of bishop e7, e5, f takes e5, bishop takes e5, c3 to protect this because there is a rook there, bishop takes g3, bishop g4. I hope that you guys were able to see the line as I show it, because that's a good visualization exercise. Knight bd7, h takes g3, queen takes g3. And here it says, which leaves white down a pawn for insufficient compensation. 2, 4, 5, 3, 5, 6, and 2 knights against 2 bishops. Okay, interesting. Okay, very interesting situation. However, yeah, this is just a 4 moves line. Black could have calculated this. So let me pause the video and return to the initial position. Okay, we are back in the position from which we analyze the line e5, and the move played by Botvinnik is bishop e7, queen d3, knight f d5. Okay, Botvinnik wastes time with his swap. He could have once again seized the advantage, and he found the tactical center counter this move. Boom, c5, wow. Again, it's incredible. This is a difficult move to find, because what happens after b takes e5, that is a mistake, rook takes d4. I don't know if you can see it, guys. Boom! And it cannot take because this takes back. So it's interesting. Okay, clearly Botvinnik didn't find many possibilities. He missed many possibilities to actually win the game. But who knows? Knight fd5. Okay, bishop takes e7, queen takes e7, c4. Well, and now white already at this point, you can see he was justified, because I mean, this is a big attack. This is a big attack. Knight f6, rook a b1. This is weak. This is clearly weak and is not good, but okay. Queen d7, rook bd1. Okay, so this is interesting. Here there is an observation by Lakdawala that says, look, that probably Tal was afraid that this pawn was very weak. That's why he used this rook and not this one, because it would have made more sense this way, right? So you have all your rooks to attack. But he's afraid of this, which means once more that players of that caliber, however, before launching an attack, try to keep the position stable and one's own piece is defended, because that's what you will see in most of Masters games level, right? Okay, king b8, queen b3, queen c7, the possible attack, e4, wow, and rook h4. Okay, so Tal saw this possibility, and that's why he used that f1 rook there. Very good. And here, like the Vala says, Botvinnik opts to distract from the attack by simultaneously harassing the f4 and d4 pawns. Very interesting, yeah. a5, knight c8, queen e3, knight e7, and queen e5. Very interesting move. Let's see what happens. Rook h, h8. So he plays this move. Instead, the right move was obviously rook d h8. And it would have been better. But another thing, are you able to understand why this is a blunder? Queen takes e5. Because after f takes e5, knight f g8, there is rook f7, okay? So you cannot take there. That's the reason. Let's see what happens then after rook h, h8. b5. C takes b5, and queen takes b5. It seems also this queen takes b5 is a dubious move, and here it says now Tal experiences difficulty maintaining coverage of his central pawn. It seems rook c1 was better. Okay, and here there is a line which explains it. Let's see what happens. a6. This looks like paranoia and the nervous kind of move I would play when low on the clock. There is no reason for black to avoid the double attack. With what? With knight c6. Okay, so the double attack, knight c6, 1 and 2. Okay. So let's see, a6, queen b2. And here it says, suddenly Tal's position is off the hospital gurney and into rehab, since his attacking chances compensate for his loose structure. Rook d7, c5, king a8, bishop f3, knight c6. And obviously the idea is to protect this, okay? Bishop takes c6. This swap is made to release pressure from the attack on d4, okay? Queen takes c6. Here the offer bright Botvinnik was short on time, yet refused to cop out with the simplifying line b takes c6, and here he gives a line that brings into a balanced endgame. Rook f3, queen e4, attacking the rook d1 and increasing the pressure on the pawn d4. Rook f d3, obviously. But there was the possibility to play this move that was definitely better, okay? So he played this. Rook c8, rook b1, and queen takes a5. And this is a dubious move. A merchant never misses a chance for profit. An instructive moment. Botvinnik, underestimating the power of a newly opened e-file, violates the principle avoid line opening pawn grabs in front of your king. And the game remains tensely balanced, it says. Okay, let's see what happens. Rook b3. It seems is dubious. but the best move it was knight f1, intending knight e3, c4, b6. Can you imagine? So knight f1, e3, c4, b6. So these are the typical maneuvers that you can do in classical chess because you have enough time to think for them. Otherwise, when you don't have enough time, it's a mess, okay? And so, unfortunately, Tal played rook b3, queen c7, queen a3. This is really a problem, it starts becoming a problem. King a7, rook b6, queen takes f4, boom. This pawn grab on the other end is perfectly justifiable. Knight e2, let's see what happened. It seems that here, okay, he could have played instead of knight e2, queen b4, but okay, let's not see that. Let's see what happens now. Queen e4, queen b3. So let's stop for a moment and let's count, which is 2, 4, 6, 2, 4. Black at this point has 2 pawn advantage. And it seems the king is defended, right? But Botvinnik made a mistake. Can you imagine what he played? He played queen d5, and this is a blunder. Do you know why it's a blunder? If you don't know why, try to stop, find out what white would play now. Okay? Rook takes a6, okay? King b8. So why he didn't take with this? Because obviously if he takes with this, is checkmate right away, okay? So he cannot do that. If he takes with this, what's gonna happen here? Again, probably check. We can only go back. Check. Tack. And now you really have a big problem, right? That is called a checkmate. So let's go back, 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 let's go back. I hope I put it in the right place. What was it? Was it here? Yeah, I think, or maybe it was here. The queen, let's see. The thing was here, the other pawn was here, if I remember, right? So no, wait, queen e4, queen was in b3, he played queen a d5, and he plays this, yes, so this is the correct position. And now he plays, obviously, oh, by the way, okay, it seems that, okay, sorry, my fault. In the book there were the analysis that show that it was checkmate if he took here or took here. I'm sorry I didn't see it. Again, once again, you need to try to be interactive, try to see why and ask yourself why, otherwise you're just wasting your time if you just read the book without putting a little effort, okay? So please put a little effort when you read the books. After this, he plays queen e4, and here Botvinnik resigned, I think. Let's see what happened. I added this ugly game because we innocent doves have an inexhaustible capacity for getting dupe when low on the clock. Exactly like Botvinnik in this game. So let's see what happens. Obviously you say, but why it doesn't escape here, right? Because queen f5, king b8, and now can you see the checkmate? Rook a8. so Botwinic resigning time. If you want, guys, I will make another video showing you the game that was showing the beginning of this chapter that I find kind of very interesting, okay? Why I find it interesting? Because white is a nobody, probably, but black is Tal, and so we can see Tal at his best. I hope you enjoyed this game. Let's watch the next.